Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Into the Storm, sponsored by Bison Ventures, Informed Mortgage Lending. Thank you to VIP Mortgage for allowing us to have this awesome podcast room here at their corporate office. And I always like to recognize my nephew and my sister. So Trey over there, he is our podcast engineer, film extraordinaire. And Trisha Madrid, which is my sister, she is our podcast producer, along with business development for Bison Ventures, and she is our marketing director here at Bison Ventures as well. I know earlier you said VIP Mortgage, so we are a division, so to speak, of VIP Mortgage, but we are our own company. So Bison Ventures Informed Mortgage Lending, because people don't even know exactly what Bison Ventures means. So that goes back to branding. Yeah. So I'd like to welcome our next guest here. This is going to be a really cool one, and it's a great story, and I have the honor of being on the board of this wonderful charity now, called Baller's Dream. Baller's Dream Foundation.
Baller,
so
singular. Baller
Dream Foundation. And so welcome, Frank DeBlasi.
You got it.
Hey, I was nervous about that a little bit, actually. So Frank is the founder, and this is basically his passion at this point. Not only does Frank do this, but he's also part of Merrill Lynch.
My daytime job.
That's his daytime job. But to me, it seems like this is his full-time job, but it's not. So let's just get a little bit into your history and kind of like what led you to this. Obviously, you have some personal history with this, but so you're from New York,
yes,
right?
Correct.
Born and raised?
Born and raised my whole life. I do want to say before we get into it, thank you for having me. It's an honor to be on this podcast, and thank Trey and Trisha. Trey, you're behind the camera. If there's a way you can make me have it look like more hair, that'd be awesome. Like this guy's hairline right here. But and I'm joined by our executive director for Arizona, Cynthia Wenstrom. Cynthia, thanks for your support here.
And she's a killer.
She's a killer as well.
Yes.
We got a bunch of killers here. But yes, born and raised New York City my whole life. At the age of 29, I felt a pebble, if you will, on my left testicle. I didn't know what it was. Mm-hmm. And being 29 and young and Italian, you're macho, living in New York City, living the high life, and you kind of ignored it. And I had this kind of for like 3 months, but I didn't say anything to anyone. But finally, I had this omen come across me, Ryan, that something was off in the world. And I reached out to my dad, who's a doctor. And I remember the phone conversation. I was making some small talk with him. And right before he hung up, I said, hey, Dad, by the way, I got this in my left testicle. I got this. I don't know what it is. It's like this marble, this pea. Yeah. I just want to talk about it. And my dad expressed concern. He said, how long have you had it? And I lied because I got nervous the way his tone was. I'm like, I don't know, a couple days. And I described it to him. And he's like, hey, that sounds like a cyst, but why don't you come home and I'll examine you. And I got off the phone and I'm thinking, all right, I'm going to go home and my dad's going to feel my balls. And that, I'm not sure about your relationship with your dad, but it's not one that you want to have with your dad. Mm-hmm. But, when you're in that moment and you're worried about your health and medical, you'll talk to anyone.
You'll set all things. Before we even go further than that, I just wanted to say this. So, like, you always talk about, like, the lumps in women's breasts and everybody. Like, we rarely ever talk about guys going and feeling their testicles and stuff. So, like, you just saying this right now gave me, like, a little bit of, like, chills. Describe, like, legitimately, like, what that felt like.
Yeah, well, whoever in your life, I suggest significant other or a friend, at least once a week, someone check them out for you. Yeah. And just
every 3 days.
Look you out for it. No, it's, you just in the shower, at least once a week, you kind of just feel around just to see if something's smooth or something's off, if there's a lump, there's a bump of some kind. Yeah. And if it persists, if it doesn't go away, then maybe you should talk to like a urologist or internal medicine doctor. But for me, I had this for 3 months. I finally said something. My dad examined me. I went home the next day, and he said, hey, that's just a cyst, but let's go to the hospital just to make sure you're okay. Yeah. So we go to the hospital, get my scans done, and the radiologist came out and said, hey, Frank, your dad was right. What you were feeling was just a cyst, but we found something that's much more concerning. And in the middle of my testicle, I had no idea. I had almost a golf ball-sized tumor.
Holy
wow,
cow.
so they were completely irrelevant, or like just not
unrelated?
Unrelated. Yeah. It was just a sign from God.
Wow.
A red herring of some kind that I was feeling for 3 months, didn't say anything. But my dad was right, that was just a cyst. But right away, the scan showed that I had a tumor, and just 2 days later, under the knife, and had a testicle removed. And at the age of 29, living in New York City, it was quite quite the experience with friends and buddies that tease you about having testicular cancer. It's not really a prevalent cancer out there.
Right.
Only a few people, like Tom Green, D-list actors, had it, right? No one I can really look up towards. Scott Hamilton, figure skater, not really helping my confidence out. And then Lance Armstrong. He was the most famous testicular cancer survivor, but then turned from hero to zero because of his cheating. So haven't really had anyone to look up to.
I still like Lance Armstrong.
I'm just going to say that. He did some good for sure in the community for cancer awareness, for sure. But I often joke and tease. I often joke and tease because I didn't really have someone to really look up to get me through this. And but I was so lucky, Ryan. I had my family, had resources, had friends.
Yeah.
But in the hospital, I'd be around plenty of young adults and children that didn't have the resources, support, love that I had. And I felt guilty about it. And I just said, Frank, if you get through this, you got to do something in the communities that you spend time in, and recognizing young adults and children are battling cancer by providing them like a major gift or experience to uplift them during their most challenging time. But instead of calling them patients, because no one wants to be called a patient, right? Such a sad term. I decided to call them ballers.
Yeah.
It's a modern day term for someone doing well, feeling well, in control. You're a baller. I see photos of you. I see what you drive. I see the business you do. You're a total baller. And it's a term that comes with swag. It's fun. The kids, whether they're watching TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, they see ballers in this high lifestyle.
Right.
So we just want these kiddos to
it's
feel
a positive
special. It's
cognition.
a positive cognition. So we call them ballers, and we provide major gifts and experiences. We make their dreams come true. So we married the term baller with dream, and we're called the Baller Dream Foundation, which started in New York. But once I moved here to Arizona, I slowly brought it here. In 2018, we became a full registered nonprofit organization. So now the Baller Dream Foundation, we're in 6 states. Scottsdale, Arizona, Phoenix, Arizona is our home base.
Awesome. So let's talk about the very first one you did.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're in the hospital and you see somebody, you see all the kids or just young adults, and then, they're struggling a little bit, and you're like, I'm going to create this foundation, and I'm going to do it. So how did it go?
It went really well. First and foremost, it was a coming out party for me. Summer afterwards, after I went through my treatments and battle, it was a party for me. But I wanted to, over time, make it less about me and about those in the community. So we started identifying local hospitals in these communities, and they would refer us ballers, if you will. And we would have these ballers at our events, and we would surprise them with gifts. But a twist that we often are most remembered by is that at our events, instead of having some sort of boo-hoo event, the video, the kids in chemo, the violins playing, we have a throne on stage, and we place the baller on the throne, and before we surprise them with a gift, I roast them. And it's memorable, and it's fun, and it makes the child feel like an actual person, not a cancer survivor.
Yeah.
But that's
so. What did the parents give you information on the kids, or how does it work?
Yeah. So it's a process. It's about a 60 to 90 day process. Each baller gets at least 3 or 4 home or hospital visits with me, and I'm taking copious notes.
Okay.
And I'm taking all sorts of mental notes of their passions, their interests, their hobbies. I'm getting content, I'm getting gossip, I'm talking to their family members, I'm interviewing friends, significant others. So I come then with a narrative for the night of the event or day of event, content. Each baller gets about 15 minutes on stage, and I just go after them. And these are ballers from ages birth to 29, which is a big differentiator for us. We go up to the age of 29. Most nonprofits stop at 18. Big differentiator for Baller Dream.
So the first one you did was in New York?
Yeah, it was in New York.
Okay. Do you still have a relationship with that person that was?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Gabby Wolpert, our first ever baller.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Gabby was 7 at the time. Now she's in high school. She's doing well. We stay close with our ballers. Ryan, for us, I cannot stress enough, one of the biggest differences between us and so many nonprofits is the relationships we have with these kiddos. We tell them from diagnosis to treatment through remission. We're with them every step of the way. So it's not like, hey, Ryan, here's your gift to Disney. Good luck. Beat cancer. We'll never talk to you again.
Yeah.
We stay close with these ballers. More than half of them, they relapse.
Yeah.
And they need that continued support, especially emotionally. So I stay close. I don't have my own children. And like these ballers become, I'm getting a little choked up. These ballers become little brothers and sisters to me.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you how much I absolutely love it. And our team, we hire people that have that same DNA to take care of these kiddos, have that bedside manner, go that extra mile. So we're really particular about who we hire and bring on, because I want them to make these ballers feel completely special. It's not just a gift or a transaction. It's a relationship that we're building.
So how did you two end up hooking up?
Yeah, so I was so fortunate.
That's Cynthia over there, by the way.
And professionally hooking up. Yeah. I don't want Cynthia's husband chasing me down.
Sorry, Cynthia's husband. Yeah,
we're so fortunate. We have clients of mine who have become dear friends.
Okay.
They knew I was looking for an executive director to run Baller Dream Arizona. And, life's all about timing, and timing worked out well. So it's been at least, I think, 16, 17 months now. Cynthia has been in our life at Baller Dream, and she's completely taken us to a whole nother level here in Arizona. And I can't speak any more higher of her professionally and personally. I'm honored to have her on our team.
So on like the day-to-day basis, because I know personally working with her, like I've been helping her, create a list, so to speak, and you have a board, obviously, that Monica Monson chairs.
Yes.
And that's how I became a part of it. So how did Monica find you?
Yeah, so Monica is a dear friend of mine, but Monica has also been a major supporter of Baller Dream for the last couple of years. And she's been so impactful philanthropically, financially, emotionally for our ballers. She has sponsored ballers. She's hired a baller who's now a full-time agent in her office. So Monica is the true essence of not just a board member, but an ambassador for Baller Dream. But Monica was a friend of mine for years, and I just felt that this was a story or a mission that would really speak to her and resonate, and she absolutely loves it, to the point now we're having our third annual Dinner of Dreams, and I thank you for your support, coming up in November. Monica is the chairwoman for our Dream Council, and we're drumming up buzz in the community for sponsorships and tickets, and so fortunate to have you on that as well, and to invite other potential ambassadors of Baller Dream into our circle. I can't tell you how much I appreciate your support.
Yeah, absolutely. For me personally, it was like I was in a group that it was like a men's charity group, right, for a long time, and we did a lot of different. We had 135 different charities we gave money to, and and it never really was like just like one thing. And I don't even I have my ex-wife's brother, so my ex-brother-in-law, which is still a friend of mine. He had testicular cancer, and I kind of remember like that whole process for this guy. He went to the Naval Academy, his freshman year at the Naval Academy, which is like getting into Harvard basically, right? And it caused him to miss going to flight school, but just like seeing like that time for like a young guy, it's always kind of stuck with me. And then when I had heard about this, and I couldn't go to the event, what is it, Brimley's place, because we were out of town. I was like, and I heard about how great it was, and I was just thinking, God, I keep missing out on this thing. And then obviously we had met, and then Monica had asked me to be involved, and I was like, it was almost like I needed something, honestly, like in my life right now, that to take over my past, what I was doing. So for me, I was like, perfect. It was like perfect, right? I needed something. I was thinking about doing something, and it fell into my lap, obviously, and I'm super excited to do it. And I think the fact that I know a lot of people is going to help a lot too. Sure. But that being said, we were able to get the VIP Foundation involved too, and Bison Ventures also, which is separately involved. We're doing the champagne toast, by the way.
Oh, excellent.
Did you know that? Okay, yeah, we're doing that. So let's like walk us through like exactly how it's going to go. So their parents submit something to you, and then you go interview everybody, and then how do you know like who you're going to pick, or do you have to like turn people down? Like, how does this work?
Well, I'm Italian and I'm from New York. Can't say no to anyone.
Yeah, as I said,
right?
so everybody gets
everyone. I know, kind of like a foundation like Oprah founded.
Yeah.
Within reason, we don't turn away anybody.
Yeah.
And we get contacted all the time, but you need to have a system and process in place, of course, because unfortunately there are those out there that try to, unfortunately, take advantage or try to get a gift.
Yeah.
But that's why we're so fortunate in relationships that we have with hospitals across the country. So here locally, Phoenix Children's and Banner Thunderbird out in Glendale and Banner Desert down in Mesa. Those are our 3 partner hospitals. Mayo Clinic is now a part of it as well. And they are the ones that refer us the ballers.
Okay.
And there's a process, if you will. Now, all of these kiddos are so deserving. But there are some, the ones that refer to us for our event program, those tend to have, maybe a shorter prognosis, a shorter runway in terms of their, life expectancy. So there's more of an urgency to gift them sooner than later. So for our events, those ballers that are selected, there's a reason. Maybe they were overlooked by another nonprofit. Maybe they relapsed. Maybe they just got a horrific diagnosis. So for our events, those ballers tend to have, a more challenging case. But we're so fortunate, not just at these events do we impact ballers. We're very, when allowed, with COVID right now, there's still some protocols. When allowed, we're very visible in the hospitals. We're doing Lego building sessions with the kids while they're in chemotherapy, art therapy, slime building, anything to distract them during chemotherapy. So we're constantly, trying to add value to these families. Speaking of families, it's not just the baller that gets impacted. There's often siblings. I always bring a gift for a sibling. You don't want them to feel overlooked. Parents, like to send them on a date night or get their home cleaned. Like we're always looking for those, those additional gifts that add value, that make such a difference. We do have ballers that pass, and we often will fund any end-of-life celebrations for them. It's a relationship, right, Ryan? I said, so for us, we're just always looking to identify ways that we can add value to these kiddos beyond a trip to Disney, beyond a PlayStation 5, whatever it is. It's that relationship, and we're trying to just continue to build it. And we're rapidly growing, and the hospital sees the impact and the visibility. We're growing our team, and right now I couldn't be more excited. Timing is everything. September, Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. I'm so honored that you invited me here because it chimes in with what we're doing, and you're really joining Baller Dream, the mission, at such a perfect time. Yeah, no, I'm super excited about it. And the events in November. Yeah, so November 18th, Friday night, it's the 3rd annual Dinner Dreams. And where's it at? It'll be at the Arizona Biltmore in the Gold Room. In the Gold Room. Only the best for the ballers, so the gold, right? We'll have 2 ballers there. They'll be our special guests that night. They'll be honored, and they'll be celebrated, but they'll be roasted, and they'll be eventually gifted. But we're excited. We're expecting 300 folks there. The sponsorship, tickets, everything is available on ballardream.org. We're incredibly excited about what we're building for this event. It'll be the first time, I don't say putting our big boy and big girl pants on, but it really is. Yeah. It really is. Cynthia, our team, knows this. I really strive to just be different. And I've been to so many wonderful events here in town, the nonprofit space, but to me, each event is kind of very similar. Yeah. Similar agendas, similar itinerary, almost similar faces, similar programs. It is a similar faces. It's the same faces. So for us, what I love about Baller Dream is that we're attracting all walks of life in terms of potential donors. We're attracting that individual in their 20s, the young couple in their 30s, the new married couple in their 40s and 50s and beyond. Like we're attracting like a younger donor base. We're not going to get those, 80-year-olds. If anyone's watching that's 80 years old, all due respect, but we're not getting 80-year-olds out of our event. They're in bed, if you will, with American Cancer Society, Heart Ball, the big ones. But we're not trying to be that way. But people come to our events, and they love how unique and different they are, and that's why they keep coming back to them. And I urge, like you said, you have friends in your network. I urge you just to come to see what we're about, because we hook them, and that's how it grows. So like you said, you can go on the website and you can find out all the sponsorships and the underwriting you can do. And can people just buy tickets? Yeah, there's individual tickets, there's tables, there's sponsorships, there's ability to underwrite. There's all sorts of ways to impact. And then our contact information's out there. If there's in-kind gifts that someone can suggest, or even they would like to host some sort of hype party leading up to it at their home, a breakfast leading up to it. There's so many ways. I encourage them to reach out to Cynthia, or even on our website. There's a hello@ballardream.org email address. Someone will get back to you right away, I promise. Perfect. All of the information will be in the show notes. Gotcha. The links. Do you have a little rapid fire question over there, Tricia? I do. So Frank, if you could teach any subject, K through 12, if you were going to be a teacher, what would that subject be? Oh, boy. Well, it's funny. My mom would tell you that it would be like science and anatomy, because she was a nurse and my dad was a doctor, but I absolutely hated science and I hated like anything to do with it. So my mom, even though I'm 45, she still thinks there's time for me to go to medical school. I'm like, Mama, you got to give up on this dream. Like, it ain't happening. Like, she wanted me to take over the family practice, stay in New York City. My dad had a huge practice in the city. And I said, you know what? This is not for me. So I was always good at subjects where there was like more than one answer. Because you can BS where you're through. Science, math, there was only one answer, right? Right. But philosophy. Give me like sociology, history, something where you can tell a story. I'm a good, I think, storyteller. But if I could teach something, Trisha, that's a good question. I would probably say travel. For me, that's been the best education, if you will. Yeah. Whether it's a small road trip or a big trip with family, friends, I have learned the most about myself and others through travel. So I don't know if that's a class, but I would love to teach just everyone to have that wanderlust and that travel bug to learn about other people's cultures, their stories. That's the first thing when I meet someone new. It's the first thing I always ask, hey, where are you from?
Yeah.
Because I have traveled so much in the States, and there's always such a good common denominator when you talk about that trip down memory lane and where they're from. And for me, teaching that to a young student, like encourage them to travel. But I would also encourage, no one teaches kids today on like how to save $1, how to spend $1. How do you charge credit card? Or when do you use a credit card? Like just the basics of
Financial literacy.
Financial literacy,
Yep.
like 101.
This comes up so often in there, probably a third of the shows at least, that the guest has said that would be something
I
that
would
they would
love.
love to work with kids on that, because they've screwed up so much.
I'm a financial advisor, my day job at Merrill Lynch, but I always like to, we have clients of all ages, but I always like to meet with their children or grandchildren to kind of educate them, next generation, because these kids, they're just using Apple Pay.
Right.
And like, that's it. Like, they don't know how to write a check. They don't know how to check their accounts. They don't know how a mutual fund works or a stock works. So like just the basics of just 101, just finance, that I would love, and make it fun. Like I need to be entertained. Like I have ADD, right? Like you can teach me something. Give me like the Reader's Digest version, 5 minutes, tell me a story, give me a joke. But I always like to add like real life experiences to things I teach these kiddos.
So where's your favorite place that you've been since you travel a lot?
Domestically, my favorite place I've been domestically. Gosh, Church, these are good questions.
Sorry.
Domestically. Well, internationally, I absolutely love Buenos Aires.
Okay.
I wish I had a more extensive resume internationally, but there's just something about Buenos Aires that speaks to me, and I just love it. They say it's the Paris of the South, and just loved how I felt about myself in the 10 days I was down there. I want to get back to South America. I don't think too many people talk about South America. They tend to talk about Europe, but no one talks about South America. So internationally, Buenos Aires. I also love, at least domestically, how I feel when I'm in Laguna or Newport Beach, like Orange County, San Diego. It's just like that stunning coast, and of course the weather. Aesthetically, it's gorgeous. So locally, grew up my whole life in New York City, and I lived that Northeast corridor, and it's a drain mentally, physically, financially. But the way the West just always spoke to me, and
it's tough not to like Newport Beach. Laguna,
Orange County, and then the mountains of like Tahoe and Park City. It's just, we're so blessed to live out west, and it's so easy to get to these locations. So I'd say Orange County, San Diego is my favorite, and I know they're so close here.
Wow.
But growing up as a New Yorker, California was a lifetime away. Like I've never been to Hawaii.
It's like fantasy.
Like everyone is like, Frank, you've never been to Hawaii? It's just never been, because in New York, Hawaii was like an 11-hour flight. No one ever talked about it.
Yeah.
Everyone would either go to Florida or Jamaica or the Bahamas,
right,
or Cancun.
Right.
Like that was it. But out west now, it's so easy to get to Hawaii. I still haven't been, so maybe that will become my new one.
Tahoe is pretty incredible.
Tahoe's amazing.
During the summer. It's weather's amazing, but the views, it's insane.
Yeah.
Have you thought about even like a financial literacy sort of program for the ballers and their families? Because they must go through so much stuff financially when they go through this process, right?
Excellent question. And Cynthia has the statistics. Most of these families that we support, lower income, living paycheck to paycheck, and then cancer diagnosis just hurts the family so much beyond the finances, just the emotions of it. Families become, I don't want to say torn apart, but there's so many challenges. But with these ballers, especially the teen ballers, because all they want to talk about is gaming. They just want to talk about gaming. Yeah. But they don't want to talk about like real life stuff. But for an example, we have a baller, Nolan Hines, the one that Monica sponsored. When he was selected to be a baller, he looked us up, he read all about us, and he said, Frank, I know at the end of this I'm going to get an amazing gift, but I don't want a gift. I'm like, oh, wow, okay. How else can we help you? He's like, can you get me a job? Yeah. And he had like the foresight to think through like, hey, here's an opportunity, an organization that has a lot of resources. It can help me in life, not just give me a trip or a gift of some kind, but they're going to give me like a life. Yeah. And for him, he is really, in the last 2 years, other ballers of his age have seen that, and they're asking us for more support, introductions. Hey, can you help me with a recommendation? Hey, can you help me with a resume? Hey, who can I talk to? And this is my like and interest in career. So with some of these ballers that are probably 16 and up, as we go up to 29, they have more of an interest, or they're more receptive to learning. The little 8-year-old, they don't care.
They want the trip.
But the late teens, I try to, when they say, hey, what's your day job? I'm like, hey, this is what I do. I manage money. I help people with their money. So I start planting seeds then. Yeah. And you kind of see it like starting to register a little bit. But it's funny, like when we often impact these ballers, maybe with some gift cards, it's funny. It's great to see them get a little more selective when they do have money, couple $1,000s, and then like, and they can start becoming more choosy about, well, I could save more money if I bought, more of these and less of that. So you kind of see them starting to think about finances even at that age. Yeah,
that's crazy. Nolan is a good kid, or he's an adult, but it reminds me of a kid.
He looks young.
He looks young, but hopefully he'll project a little bit of his mindset, so to speak, to the other people. I mean, and having a guy like that kind of being involved in the group and is obviously a huge benefit to other ones coming through. Do past ballers, do they talk with the newer ballers? I mean, is that how it
yes.
Everybody has a communication portal, so to speak.
We've got this ballerhood that we've created and looking to build and expand upon. So oftentimes we'll get a baller. Little Johnny in Alabama is struggling with a cancer diagnosis of some kind of leukemia, and he's having, emotions about it, or he's having issues with the therapy sessions. So I'll hear from the family, hey, Frank, is there someone like a baller that he could talk to about how he got through cancer, or, some advice and guidance? So we have connected ballers in different markets to kind of like be a big brother type. They often also want to talk about their gifts. Hey, we saw Nolan got a job. How can I get that job?
Right. Yeah.
Tell me more about real estate.
There's only one Monica. Sorry, guys.
But like, it's fun you're a connector in life. Obviously you are. Like how well you've done. I love connecting people. It feels good, right?
Yeah.
So I love connecting to these ballers and their families, especially the moms too. The baller moms who created this baller motherhood, right? Where baller moms are like talking to each other about getting through some tough days and success stories, best practices. So like I talked about the relationship we're building in this ballerhood, it's truly special. So we're always looking for ways to bring the kiddos together.
So quick question. Alabama, you mentioned that as an example. Cynthia mentioned that was kind of an unusual way that you ended up in that market. Can you explain?
I'll give my best Cliff Notes version of it. Okay, so we had Hospital in New York reach out to me, and they had a baller that was 23 years old, and he was declined by Make-A-Wish. So I got the phone call because Make-A-Wish stops at 18. They do wonderful things, but they are very, very strict. They stop at 18. So I got the baller on the phone. And I was told he had about maybe 9 months to live. His name was Robert. And I said, Robert, what are 2 things you want to do? And he said, the first thing, I want to meet LeBron. And I said, all right, that's cool, but what's the second thing you want to do? It's not that we can't. Me too, but sorry. It's not that we can't coordinate celebrity interactions, but they're so impersonal.
Yeah.
And there's handlers involved. Yeah. It's a selfie. It's an awkward 90-second conversation, and then the celebrity's gone, and the baller's like, that was it. Right. And so like the expectation, it's like the prom. Everyone's excited for the prom, and then it's like such a big letdown. Right? Yeah, exactly. So, I said, what's the second thing you want to do? And he said, well, I've never been on a plane before. I said, okay. And I'd love to see my favorite football team play. And I said, who's your team? And he said, the Dallas Cowboys. I was like, I hate the Cowboys so much. Like, I was like, choose 29 other teams. Why do you got to choose the Cowboys? Yeah. So I got off the phone, and my next phone call was the Dallas Cowboys. I cold called. My whole life, my professional life, I've cold called, so I don't mind calling anyone. So I called the Cowboys, eventually got to the right people. And as much as I hate to admit it, the Cowboys were absolutely amazing. Right. Absolutely awesome. So how did this get to Alabama? So flew the family down. We stay at the Ritz-Carlton. So when these ballers travel, they're staying at the Ritz or the Four Seasons. I mean,
because you only stay in nice hotels.
And ballers, they're not staying at the Holiday Inn. I'm sorry for any Holiday Inn friends, right? Yeah. But the night before the game, we had the family there, and I'm having dinner with the family and my brother who came along. And this nosy couple next to us was overhearing our conversation about Baller Dream. They must have been bored with each other or just like, they had nothing to talk about. So on their phone, while they were overhearing our conversation, they looked up Baller Dream. And they interrupted my conversation. They said, hey, we just looked up Baller Dream and what you do. We see that you're in multiple states. Would you ever consider coming to Alabama? And of course, being a typical wise ass from New York, I said, no, why would I? Like, I've seen the movie My Cousin Vinny. Like, we don't need to be in Alabama, right? Yeah. And they're like, no, have you ever been to like Fairhope? Have you ever been to Mobile? It's on the Gulf Coast. It's gorgeous. Southern Magazine, top 10 places to live. And I said, I'm so sorry. I've been so many places in the United States, but I've never been there. Yeah. They're like, do your homework. Give us a chance. Let's stay in touch. Well, I matured up. I said, okay, no more My Cousin Vinny references. I did a stealth visit a couple weeks later to Alabama. Did my homework. Great children's hospital there. History of philanthropy in that community. That really spoke to me, but also like the sheer randomness of having like Alabama. Like we're in New York, New Jersey, California, Arizona, Nevada, and then we got Alabama. Yeah, right. You don't have to be like a major geography whiz to know that Alabama is nowhere near those places. Yeah, but it's worked so well for us.
So did that couple end up like working with you?
Ideally, it would have been wonderful, but 3 months later, they broke up and they left me hanging, right? So
No.
they left me hanging. But fortunately, I had built enough rapport with the community and staying there and staying committed. I was bummed when this couple then broke up and they started to disappear, but I felt like I owed it to this hospital as I guaranteed them that we would be special for their ballers. So it has taken us some time, but in just a year and a half, Cynthia's counterpart there, Pam Hunter, has done an amazing job of building our brand, and it's a rapidly growing market for us. I encourage you to visit Alabama. I'm not sure if you do any mortgages in Alabama, but
we will do them there if they
will
have
do
them
them.
there. So I actually did not know that University of Alabama is like the number 19 school in America too, by the way. Everybody,
not know
I
that.
always
I
think
didn't know that either.
I was like, this is just a football school, but it's actually one of the best, most like decorated academic schools as well. And everybody from like Dallas and the Texas area, if they don't stay in Dallas, they go to Alabama, Auburn, Georgia. Never thought that. I just thought that it was just athletics, SEC.
So Central Gulf Coast, where Alabama is, we've had, now we're starting to like trickle into Pensacola, Florida, parts of Louisiana, Mississippi. So like we see that becoming more of a region, not just a state.
Yeah.
But thank you for that question.
You're welcome.
So let me ask you this. So I know there's been plenty of ballers, obviously. So you have, and I hate to say you have favorites, and but you probably have some favorite memories, so to speak. Like, do you have one that you were just like, this was like the greatest thing, or this?
We've been so fortunate for being a smaller nonprofit. Some of these gifts and experiences that we provided, and I encourage any listeners or followers to go on our Instagram and Facebook. You'll see evidence of these gifts that we've given. Mm-hmm. Some of them, most memorable, was a full day with Guy Fieri.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
We flew out to his Guy's Grocery Games, his studio warehouse. It's a converted supermarket. It's unbelievable. And we were with him for 6 hours. And he didn't rush us. He didn't look at his watch the whole time. He was so amazing to this baller. He made us cheeseburgers, which were phenomenal, by the way. But that really stands out. We've taken a baller to Dancing with the Stars, a live taping. We got to meet Erin Andrews and Tom Bergeron, and that was a really cool experience to get on the actual dance floor. That was super cool. Michael Bublé was super accommodative. A great story about Michael Bublé is we had a baller here in Arizona. His name is Casey White, and Casey, like, he was 14 years old, but he was like 14 going on 64. He wanted to like see Michael Bublé.
Right.
And, so Michael Bublé, we reached out to him, and he was amazing. He said, Frank, I'd love to meet your baller, but let's do it after the show because I'll have more time to spend with him, not before the show. I was like, wow.
That's considerate.
That's
wow.
because I know he also has a child that had cancer, but just to kind of hear that from him, that was super cool because most celebrity types are like zip in, zip out, and then they're gone. But he was great. So that really stands out. The one with the Cowboys stood out as well. I'm trying to think. There's so many that will come to mind after we're done here.
Exactly.
But those are the ones that kind of, we've done some automobile gifting as well.
Like taking them out driving or going to look at cars?
We've contributed towards vehicles. So
okay.
Yeah, so their first car. We're doing one this Saturday. She doesn't know it, so I can't say it, but it's in Arizona. Just earlier today, we coordinated it. She's going to be surprised Saturday.
So how's that going to go down?
It's going to be exciting. I'm actually a little nervous about it right now because there's going to be like 50 people there at her house. She has no idea their car's coming.
So is that going to be taped or how's
we're going to have, this literally just went down earlier today, Ryan. So we're going to have, probably perhaps Cynthia and others there with us to kind of film some of this, her family, her friends, but her vehicle is going to be there, and we've contributed towards the cost of that. So,
Cynthia, you have something to say about this?
I have a comment for you, Frank.
Yeah.
Could you tell us a little bit about DK and that
that
story?
was-
That's
yeah.
a pretty special story, too.
Yeah, that was special story. So thank you, Cynthia, for mentioning that. So we have ambassadors across the globe, including DK Metcalf for any sports fans out there. He's
muscular.
He's muscular, yeah, for sure. One of the faces of the NFL.
Yeah.
And we had a baller who just wanted to meet him, and he was absolutely awesome. We coordinated that. We flew the baller to Seattle. I was a part of it. So all these baller experiences.
He's a wide receiver for the Seattle Seahawks.
Wide receiver, Seattle Seahawks, originally I think from Ole Miss or Mississippi State. Just signed a huge contract, and then his off the field contributions in life. He wants to be an actor, like he's doing it all. So reached out, things happened, made sense. We flew the baller up there. I always attend the baller experiences just to make sure the baller, nothing gets lost in translation. There's no discounts. I was there. So we set up the ball. Of course, stayed at the Four Seasons in Seattle. DK came to the hotel day before the game and spent over an hour with us. Took video, took photos, took everything. Obviously engaged with the baller, gave him all sorts of goodies. He also wrote the baller's name on his cleats. So pregame cleats, he had the baller's name on there.
Oh, wow.
Stayed in touch, sent him a jersey as well afterwards. But DK Metcalf, he came away from that experience so touched that he has and his team, they have been engaged with us to do this on a consistent basis in the Seattle market.
Oh, wow.
So thank you, Cynthia.
He seems like a great guy.
Awesome.
Awesome. You know, one of those guys that just...
For being a young athlete, he's also so concerned about life after football and off the field that I give him credit for looking to explore ways, not just from a revenue perspective for him, but just impact. But that's another,
cool.
For us, we're incredibly excited to have him on our team.
That's great. I think his dad was in the NFL as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So he's got some lineage.
Yes, for sure.
I think he was an offensive lineman or something like that. Trisha?
So it's not a question, but so how I learned about you is after Monica's podcast. She was our second guest. We went and actually recorded in her office because we had a COVID issue here. And I went back 2 days later to take pictures of her, and she was upset. And, I don't know her very well. And I'm like, are you okay? What's going on? And she told me about Sam.
Oh.
And, she told me all about, like, the wedding and all that stuff. And I got choked up while taking her picture. Like, that's amazing. So
talk about Sam.
Yeah, so Samantha Preston, a baller who was also a young mom. So Samantha was 22, and she had a baby at the age of 18. And Samantha, we gifted her in conjunction with Wright Toyota here in town. We got her a beautiful pre-owned Highlander. And
Nice.
She needed to get to her appointments. She didn't have a vehicle. Car broke down, so we got her a car. Unfortunately, she didn't get a chance to use the car for too long because she relapsed so aggressively. And we helped, before she passed, we helped arrange, she married her longtime boyfriend and the father of her child. Before she passed, she got married in the hospital over in Banner, Thunderbird in Glendale. And Samantha Preston, I think about her.
What did she have?
Every day. It's so sad. It's like what she didn't have. She had cancer. Just one thing led to another. It started in her hip. And then it just scattered throughout her body. And it was so aggressive, particularly at the end. And we had her about a few months before she passed, we had her as a guest, as a welcome back guest. We had her on stage. I roasted her again. I knew her prognosis. And I said, hey, Sam, I know you only have a few months, but I'm still going to roast your ass. And she's like, Frank, I need it. She's like, I need it. And you know what? To these kiddos...
I'm a sympathetic crier, by the way. So when other people cry, I cry.
They just give me, I have an incredible fear of death. Like, I'm incredibly fearful of death. So when I got diagnosed, I obviously had my moments, but these kiddos are so young, right? And they've been so, they know the prognosis and they're so positive about it. Yeah, it's sad, but they're faith-based and they're so positive. And, they give me strength. And I always, when I get relapsed again, I always feel like in my head I'm going to relapse again. I feel like I'm going to be more prepared, emotionally stronger because I've been involved with so many of these kids, and I see everything they've been through. And here I am, I'm 45, and they got a 15-year-old, a 10-year-old that's got a short prognosis, and their spirit and demeanor towards it just gives me such strength. Frank, come on, man, get your one ball together here and just kind of you got to be strong for yourself. And if this happens to you again, so these stories of these ballers that we lose, it's not just a gift we give them, Ryan. It's a relationship. So these kids mean so much to me and our team. And I know you asked earlier as well, for those ballers that pass, I always write a poem because it's I think a true celebration of their life and also a true essence of the relationship we build with them. And I just want their families to know that, we're still with you. And those ballers who have passed, we have stayed in touch with their families. We've checked in. Hey, how you doing? What can we send? For us, I can't tell you how important that is to me. I grew up, my dad was a doctor, my mom was a nurse. So my dad would give his home phone number to patients. And my dad was always available and accessible to his patients when they'd call the house, even during dinner time. You can imagine getting a doctor's home number these days. But I just learned to be accessible, responsive, and a caretaker. And it started in my early days just watching, my mom and dad.
What kind of a doctor?
He was an internist in New York City, a tough Sicilian from Brooklyn. And I met my mom in the hospital. They were working on a patient together. My mom thought he was the biggest jerk, but she still said yes when he asked her out. And
girls,
and then
women, like
6
bad
months
boys.
later, they got married. I don't do the math, or I've done the math. It makes me nauseous. I think I attended the wedding, but my mom will never admit that because she's old school Catholic.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
But that's my story.
So you have a poem here. We wanted you to read it.
Yes, and I'm glad Cynthia mentioned DK Metcalf because this baller was the one that received his gift with DK Metcalf. This was Dustin Joyner, our first ever California baller. It was a year ago. He was referred to Baller Dream. And, right away with these kiddos, like the first meeting, you're sizing each other up. They're looking at you like, what's this old guy want? What's he doing? So the first thing I always say is like, hey, Ryan, I promise you this is going to be great. At the end of this, you're going to get an amazing gift. And then right away, they're like, all right, what do you want to know?
Yeah, right.
So this guy, though, the first meeting, we got off to a little choppy start because he was a little grumpy. It was to him, it was early in the morning.
Yeah.
But, we talk about, I'm glad you didn't ask me, tell me your favorite ballers because I have so many. But Dustin definitely is one of the most memorable ones. And he recently passed, and I wrote him a poem. And the parents asked me to read it at his huge funeral outside San Diego. So I brought a copy. To share. So if you give me a moment here, I might get a little choked up.
That's okay.
And I'm not a writer.
Take your time.
So for any writers out there, don't like butcher me over it. But I did my best with an amateur writer. But impacting so many and rapidly growing, Baller Dream in California began to date. Debuting in San Diego, you were the first baller from the Golden State. We connected over the phone and met for lunch last June. Your eyes threw daggers at me for being awake before noon. Transparency and humor were evident from the start, aspiring to be a coach and a nurse because of your huge heart. Video gaming, hunting, fishing, and race cars brought you so much pleasure. Love for your family and friends came with great measure. Music was not our common ground. Little TJ and Polo G rang in your ears, while Dave Matthews Queen of Bon Jovi, for me, you hurled jeers. Football was our compromise. Your passion for the Saints was second to none. Surprised you and family with a road trip to Seattle. Oh, what fun. Hanging with superstar DK Metcalf before the big game, he scored a touchdown, his cleats adorned with your name. Saints merch, Saints win, a huge smile for so many reasons. The Space Needle, Pike's Market, room service, and robes at the Four Seasons. The reports from your doctors became more challenging to hear, but you chose living life to the fullest over fear. Roger, Becky, brothers Nathan and Cole, you're not alone. Our team will always be here for you in person and by phone. Dustin Joyner, I love you. Because of you, we can all stand taller. Rest in peace, brother. Heaven just welcomed an eternal baller. And
I'm sobbing.
Ooh, that's a good one. Jeez, man.
He did. I mean, it was so funny. We shared passions in life. We had nothing in common, except for maybe sports, right? And music, nothing in common. Dress, nothing in common. And I would just remember him looking at me. He's like, "Man, you're so white." Coldplay, Dave Matthews, Queen,
Bon Jovi.
Bon Jovi, and he's like, "Little TJ, Common, Polo G," and I'm like, "Who are these people?" And I'm like, not only do I feel super white, I feel super old too. But we built this relationship. I know Cynthia met him as well, and he was all these kids are special.
Yeah,
they're all like unbelievable. These kids are all unbelievable. That's why Baller Dream. People always ask, where's this going? What do you want to do? I want to help as many ballers as possible. Within reason. I want to help impact as many as possible. These kiddos, they need it. They need it.
Yeah. Well, I feel very lucky that I get to be a part of this. One last question before we wrap, because as a parent, I think about it, like what would it be like for something like this to go down? Do you find that like a lot of times that the kids are stronger than the parents?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. For example, for me personally, when I got home to tell my mom the news that I had cancer, here she is, emergency room nurse, tough girl, Brooklyn girl, went to school in Philly, seen a lot. I told her the news, and she dropped to the ground sobbing.
Right.
Like, I thought you were going to be my rock.
Right.
Like, and you're on the ground.
Yeah.
I'm like, Mama, I'm going to be okay. I was hoping I was going to be okay. But I share that with you because so many of these ballers, they have that sentiment as well. And yes, like the moms, the dads, it's crippling to them. At least at first, the news, that first few days, that first week, and then they get the plan, they get the process, they meet with the doctors and the staff, and then they start feeling more confident about the road. But it's these families are, they're unbelievable.
Brutal.
Like the baller moms and baller dads are just amazing people. So whenever we meet them, it's hugs, squeeze, it's hugs.
Yeah.
It's that extra care that we provide. So, and you have to pick up on that like immediately with the family. So as soon as we meet them, I'm coming in, no handshakes. I'm coming in for a big bear hug because I know I've been there, what it does to a family, and especially these young families. It's incredibly difficult at times to watch, but we bring what we hope is a major lift to them.
So what is this specifically like? Does every kid have their own?
Oh, so I'm so glad, Kyla Mugawagwa, that's a mouthful, right? You thought DeBlasi was hard. Kyla battling cancer last couple of years. She's out in Gilbert, she went Banner, Desert. September is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month across the nation. And we're so fortunate in our markets. We have partners such as Mountain Shadows Resort here, Sorso, the wine room, Schmooze in Old Town. They have sponsored, or they've raised their hand to be a partner with Baller Dream during the month of September. And they have placards, they have posters of our ballers and their stories. And there's links, there's QR codes to learn more about Baller Dream and ways that they can be impactful. So we have one of these in all of our partners. And then also our website has a lot of detail about how donors and followers can be impactful for Baller Dream during the month of September.
Well, that's awesome. I'm going to wrap this up, Trish, unless you have one more question. Okay. So thank you so much for being here again. This was awesome.
Likewise.
I love seeing the raw emotion. It always works out well for podcast views. But no, it's truly an incredible foundation, and I'm, like I said, I'm super blessed to be a part of it. Again, so the event is in November. Give me the date again.
Friday, November 18th, Dinner of Dreams, our third annual Dinner of Dreams at the Arizona Biltmore, 6 o'clock start. All information is on our website, ballerdream.org. Tickets, sponsorships, ways to underwrite, all sorts of opportunities to impact us. We'd love to see you. And everybody, please reach out to me too, so I get the credit for. Yes. This sounds so bad, but it's true. I do want to provide as much as I can. So, and a lot of these people that are going to be watching this are my friends. So, and I do want them to be involved. So. And if you don't, I'm going to reach out to you. So, again, so thank you to Frank DeBlasi, and thank you to Cynthia. And we have I just got flustered there. So anyways, if everybody, please check this episode out because this is going to be an important one for us. Go on to all our podcast platforms. You can listen to it. Obviously, you can go on YouTube and watch it as well, Into the Storm. Like and subscribe, share with your friends. I mean, everybody's going to have somebody that's dealt with something that can relate to this. So 100%. If it hasn't personally touched you, send it to the people that have, so we can get as many people involved in this organization and this event as possible. Again, thank you, VIP. Thank you, Bison Ventures. Thanks, Trish. Thanks, Trey. And we will see you all soon. Thank you.